Welcome back. We are back. Sorry for that long delay. We were juggling some technical difficulties. Measure was hacking the system, and the system hacked back, apparently. So, apologies, everybody. I broke the internet. In the meantime, however, boba tea was made, so there are good things in life. Anyway, Morgan, do you want to? I don't know how much got lost. So do you wanna sort of repeat the last little bit?
I think we were at the point where Ezra was like, well, that woman works for the corp, and that woman, and they're just like, saying it nonchalantly, just like, no big deal. And it's like, that woman happens to be my sister. And not looking at either of y'all. Like,
Yeah,
I missed that moment. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
And then so like Tonya's like, and then like looks at Measure and sees Measure's expression, and it's like, oh, we're supposed to be surprised by that.
I mean, I think Measure's expression is just to freeze. Like they just
Yeah.
like freeze for a moment, whatever they were doing, and then it's like very slowly sort of look up and they say, "You mean?" And it's just like this very long pause, like
Yeah, but like I think Tonya's like sister, just trying to help.
yes. We share DNA.
Yeah, Tonya. I think Tonya goes, well, this is a revelation.
you have to
And
be
like
careful
looks
the way
back
you use
at
that
Measure,
word,
being
Tonya.
like, what's going?
I think you have to be careful the way you use that word. Well, we should go find your sister then. No.
Do we? Like, I mean, I've been doing some fine on my own, but like, if she is tracking us, or rather me, because I guess I forgot to tell y'all this. Whenever I went around the corner, uh, the mask flicked over and said that uh, the person was the trap, and to have me on camera was what they really wanted.
Right. Which they got.
Yeah, they got.
A family reunion.
I think that's a great idea, Tonya.
Let me just put on my Sunday best.
We know where she is. That means going into the heart of the city.
Ugh. That place.
I wonder if Rule is working with her or against her.
I wonder if Rule is working.
He's doing something. He's yeah, I don't know if he's like a ghost in the machine, if he's just an intelligence in the ethers, or if I don't know how much of him made it um, to get here.
You shouldn't use that word.
Cool. Shouldn't use what word?
Made it?
Just. Not just a ghost in the machine.
I remember Rule having a body, and they may no longer have a body. That's a good point.
Yeah,
Doesn't
we
make
shouldn't
them
judge
less.
people for that.
Yeah. No.
All right, so we're going to the city?
Have
I
fun.
think
Wait, you're not coming with us?
Oh, I didn't realize I was invited.
I mean, you're a part of this conversation. I only.
Well,
figured
I'm
you
not
were.
your sister, or Measure's sister. I'm no one's sister.
that's not actually. And Measure kind of goes back to like be very focused on Elon. Uh,
Do you think that's where we cut the scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
I
I was
think that's a
like,
great cutscene.
exactly when Measure abandons Ezra to this is when we cut the scene.
Well, it's embedding Tonyo when you say like I'm not anyone's sister, and Measure's like, no, that's not really true, but doesn't quite.
Yeah, right.
But just like before, doesn't quite finish their sentence. So yeah.
Mysterious. I like it. So, we cut to do we want to have a quick montage of you making your way to the city? I know before we came back on stream, Tony was
Could we
talking
find
about
could we find that person in the city as like
oh yeah,
that would be
sure.
a cool way to do
Bridge
that.
everything together.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I'll say that Tonio, you notice that as you're walking with everybody, I'm still going to give everyone a moment to like describe how they get over. But as you're making your way, you notice there are more robots than you remember. These discarded robots here in Goblin City because like we're surrounded by all of this these discarded things seen as trash by other people. But there are more robots than usual, and they all have these like flickering faces, and you hear a whisper of the little god of masks who is stronger now because without you realizing it because of the power you gave them. um, and you hear the little god say, they're all putting on a mask that doesn't belong to them. Trying to be someone they're not. And you recognize, Tonio, that there are flashes of violence. You can see like over and over again. You realize after a while, Ezra, that it's from Seg's perspective of when they were attacking. Um, yeah, like you recognize the movements, you recognize the hands when they come up onto the screen over and over again. And that's when the screen slowly starts to fade. And instead, all the faces are replaced by the very enigmatic face of Ala Ala, who is our false prophet, who offers the gift of forgetting one's sins. And you just see her place her hands in front of her in a prayer like position. She closes her eyes, her bioluminescent hair is flowing all around her, and then the screens fade and flicker out into black.
Cool.
But yeah, so let's get into our montage. How do we make it through our cyberpunk falling apart sad city? I always like these moments. Like, do we get into a cool car? Are there motorbikes? Do we get on a bus? Do we hijack something? What are we thinking?
I mean, someone else would have to suggest something like that because it wouldn't occur to Tonyo not to walk.
Yeah, I had a feeling. Like Tony's saying, I can walk.
Yeah. And I think it's like a ways. Like you could.
Like, yeah, that will take you 4 hours.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? Like,
Do you think there's like a kind of like a not like Uber, but like an Uber S thing where you call a ride of sorts,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
an automatic like hovering craft?
Mhm.
Ooh, I like that.
Maybe,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the ones that come here to Goblin City are kind of falling apart a little bit.
well, so okay. So so when someone says, "Oh, like we shouldn't walk," and I'm like, is it Ezra or Measure that like mentions like it would be good to like get there quicker or whatever?
I think Measure feels like we should get there sooner. Measure seems very preoccupied with Elon right now, and is wants to get back to him soon.
So I get I like the idea that we can't just call an Uber because like we're not, like rich citizen people
Or legal citizen, like we're
legal
hunted by
citizens.
the city.
So I would like it if we go into a holy place and speak to like a priest who can organize us like a hijacked jury rigged cab. Right, so like
Yeah.
like one of these Ubers is like crashed, and so like yeah, I think I think Tonyo's contribution to this little montage is walking into what used to be like a foundry or a factory. So it has the big glass ceiling shapes that create the like illusion of like of a cathedral with stained windows, but like all of them are, but instead they're just plain glass. Um, and like at some large machine there is a priest cloaked in uh, like cloaked in robes made out of like embroidered tapestry that have been like repurposed into this cloak, but still like you could read the story on them. And there's like trash everywhere, and like someone is like sorting through some of it, and like holds up a copy of like a biography of C.S. Lewis or something, and is like, "I found something," right? Like something like weirdly from our world and ancient as far as like and like esoteric. And is like and like goes up to we see them like go up and like share this with the priest, and then like when we come in the priest is like hush hush, we have guests. And I think Tonyo is going to, and I'm trying to work out if I have a move for this. What I want to do is like pray to pray to the thing that used to be little god that these people are elevating, right? Like their practice of the reclaimed is like I don't think Tonyo remembers that they were the one that originally kind of brought this little god to these people, and then it turned into a church. But they pray and they
Ooh, yeah, there are a couple of moves you could do.
Yeah.
To shift in whichever direction you like. Like if you want to speak a true prophecy or lie about it, give someone the gift of faith in your strong moves. You could do something.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pray to the little god of reclamation. That I'm going to go up to to this person with the book on that found the book, and they're like, "Holy shit, it's Tonyo!" And I'm like, "What? Why are you being weird?" And then I like put a hand on their shoulder, and I'm like, "Would you help us? We need." I think I say, "Would you help us, faithful one? We need a ride." Right, and what I'm hoping, what I'm trying to do is actually get the little god of reclamation to like possess them and like have them build us a vehicle, or like reclaim a vehicle.
I have a really specific idea about a vehicle that could get us in. If you don't have anything in mind, an idea came to me about what they might have in this foundry.
Yeah.
And again, please feel free to veto this, but just as I was thinking of the imagery that you were talking about this big warehouse, and I think that there is this this physical beam, this rail that goes all the way from this warehouse into the city, and it used to be where cargo was like shipped in and out of this foundry, in and out of the city, and instead of a big cargo container, they have one of those old taxis, and it's been jerry-rigged onto the conveyor belt, and so it's like a gondola now. So it's not tracked by any of the system, and it's like there's like people like spinning it, or some like combustion motor running it that like runs the gondola from the factory / church into the city and back again. But it's, it should be this huge cargo container, and instead it's this cab with these windows where the rain can drop on them and we can look out remorsefully. If that sounds cool to you.
Mm-hmm. So, Jamie, I'm using my elemental magic to great consequence. Because I'm not aware of the fact that I'm basically giving up this person to the little god.
Mm-hmm.
right? Like
Yeah. And I feel
I'm
like this is
almost
definitely.
accidentally killing them.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, so this sounds like you're performing miracles.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah, nice, nice. I really like that. Um, and so I remember when you first described Tonio, there's this feeling of, do I remember correctly? Like things growing, like this sort of fungal
Yeah.
kind of.
So when they do this, they'll end up. We'll notice like sores opening up on them.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
are kind of like a bluey gray sort of sores. But the important point is that they will become overcome by visions, right? And
Yeah.
I have a feeling that if I'm playing this as a weak move,
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm.
then I'm not respecting their humanity,
Hmm. Oh, I
right?
like that.
And their
Yeah.
personal autonomy. That's yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like, I think when that happens, you reach out, and the little god of reclamation, you can see how this little god is actually fragments of other little gods that it has taken into itself. Like it has reclaimed these other gods, it has built itself upon it, it has built itself on these people. uh, and you can tell that this little god is hungry. It really, it is not satisfied to look over puddles and masks. It wants to be something like it used to be, a shiver of it, a fragment of it. So I'm going to ask, as part of your perform miracles move, um, choose one. Which one do you like? The miracle unleashes something dark. We're kind of going in that direction. Or new gods will awaken and demand worship. Or a little god will permanently take up residence within you.
I'm going with something dark. I feel
Yeah.
like we're actually following a trend of like the syncretic nature of Tonyo himself means that he's accidentally like making this thing hungrier and larger and
And
consuming
it
more.
sounds like it's taking up residence inside this itinerant.
Mm,
Yeah,
This
instead of you.
yeah,
instead
Yeah,
of you,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, was it the priest you touched? I'm just double checking. Was it the priest or just someone else?
It wasn't the priest. It was the follower.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
Because they were so excited.
yeah, yeah, exactly. They were so excited to see you, to meet you. And so as you touch them, there's a ripple of your magic. And you can see as your protocols start to take over their built in cybernetics, and the magic starts to course through them. And you can feel the god say, yes, a vessel. This one, yes, it could work. And there's this sensation of teeth and hunger and saliva. And you can see this follower, like their mouth starts to stretch out and their teeth start to sharpen a bit. And you can see the same sores moving over their body as they bend over and they say, yes, transportation, a ride. Yes, we will follow, but for now, a ride. Yes. And there's a snap of the fingers, and the snap echoes. But we must make it fit for our saints, they say. And so there's a convergence of all the followers onto the cab as they start to stuff in the tapestries, as they start to draw these strange shapes and glyphics on it. And they slowly open it up. The ride is ready. Yes, we will follow. Yes, leave a trail. Yes, reclaim what you leave behind. Yes.
Dope. Sick. I'm just trying to work out where I want to push. Oh, Tonyo's such a dickhead, though.
I would like to have a. Can I interrupt with a flash
Yeah, go for it. I
transportation?
would love that, Sean.
This may or may not. This may rattle Tonio, or this may make him. I don't know. I'm not sure. But in this process, at some point, Measure comes up to this follower who is now embodying the little god of reclamation, and he says, and they say to this follower, "It's good that you carry this burden, Tonio can't carry anymore. And this is an allusion to Tonio's substance, what Tonio is made of. And maybe you hear that, maybe you don't, maybe you dismiss it, but that is my flash of inspiration. That if you had taken this god upon you, that your ability to maintain this plurality is already at a straining point. Whether you realize it or not, not to say obviously that you can't do the move, but that is Measure's realization.
Yeah, and I think when you say that, Measure, they turn to you, and it's this strange where like their head goes just a little too far, and you realize the body is no longer following normal physics or limitations anymore. And they, yeah. Oh, I'm double checking our safety. Yeah, because I tend to do.
No, I was just commenting on it.
That's
totally fine. Totally fine.
But yeah, and then
no stepping, no but thank you for checking.
Yeah, and then so as they twist their head, they say, yes, anything. The burden is too great to bear. Too many. But yes, we need to make space. Yes, we claim to make space within the saint. Yes.
Yeah. Consider that you only contain one small god, and like yeah, and I think that Measure's ready to get on this ride he found us, Tonya.
I think Ezra during this process is just amused about like what's going on, and they're just like, "Oh, you did this? Okay, now I know more about you, Tonio." They're just watching. They're judging and watching. That's all.
Like there's this track sheet that Ezra has per person.
Mental check notes.
Your rap sheet of like, yeah. Okay, Tonio. I see what you're doing.
Yeah, legit.
Does that Morgan, does that make Ezra feel better about their own violence, their own taking somebody's life when they see that Tonio's doing the same but in a different form?
I don't know about making them feel better. I think it's more like, oh, you can come down to these levels. Not come down to my levels, but more like you can like you have these sort of powers to like alter and manipulate people like that. Oh, good to know. Let's see where this goes. And yeah.
I think so. Yeah, I think I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's get in the cab. And like, are the followers going to try and like follow us into the cab? Is that what you're saying, Jeremy? Because I'm not going to stop them.
Yeah. I'm going to say like they're going to creepily like follow along. They're creating their own little vehicles where they'll be able to keep tabs and catch up because they're convinced you're going to leave them morsels and good things. So,
I mean, can't we just have like one of them, like as we like pull out and we're on this conveyor belt, we see the one of them like latched onto the side of it.
Let's do it.
Right? Like
a mess. Yeah. Like they're just like holding on.
Yeah, totally. We're in the ride and then the camera zooms out, we see them like all like hanging on.
Dope. Love it. That's my contribution to our getting into the city.
Nice.
I think Ezra's is gonna stare at them as they're clinging on, be like, I don't know which is worse, my way of like, doing things, or it's.
I mean, if we can see them from within the cab, I like go up and I like knock on the cab and I'm like, "Hi, what's your name?"
And
I like try and start a conversation.
Yeah. And it's this weird cryptic conversation because they're saying things like, "I'm waiting for someone to leave me a name. Like I have to catch one first." Like. And you realize like whatever you gave to this follower, well, I don't know if Tony realizes it, but the audience realizes it's spreading among the followers, right?
Yep. I've given the little god of reclamation the ability to reclaim people.
Yeah.
I like the idea that at some point they're gonna like pick up a can and it's gonna be like a Pepsi can, but like the SI is like scratched out or faded. So like I'm Pep. That's my
Yeah,
name,
right.
right? And they like carry the can like a talisman or something like that, and
Yeah,
that's
like it's around their neck. Like
yeah,
yes,
right.
yes. Me, I have
In
claimed
their
this.
pocket, like a little front pocket, just
Yeah,
with the tag sticking out.
yeah.
Perfect, perfect.
Uh, Jimmy, can I ask you sort of? I didn't want to stop the momentum, but I do want to know if I noticed anything different with Elon um,
Ooh, I have
when
a way of
Measure was
yeah,
looking into them. So
yeah.
I would like to
So,
ask a pointed question, which
ooh.
is: has Elon changed since Rule's gift?
Alan hasn't been dreaming, you've noticed? Like they usually dream about the beach and they talk to you about the dream. They've just been quietly sleeping and you thought that was just them resting, but now you're
Mm.
worried that it means something else. And as you're, so I feel like we're here, Pep is over there having a conversation with Tonio. But as we get to your side of the cab, with the rain, of course, against the light and the neon streaks, that's when you notice there's like a flash of lightning in the distance, and you swear that you see Alan standing there. He's like, he's standing strong and tall and just watching as the cab goes by and then gone again.
Yeah, and I think I'm just sort of like plastered to the wall. Like I've seen it, and like the way like lightning kind of like burns into your eyes. I think the image is sort of like burnt into Measure's eyes. In fact, Measure has this big visor, and I think the camera sees the image of the lightning flashing and Alon standing in the lightning well after it has actually faded.
Ooh,
But of course, Measure is facing out, so no only the camera is seeing that image. They're very
perfect.
distracted.
Mhm.
Nice.
But yeah, and so Ezra, I kind of feel like I'd love to, as we get closer to the city, could we describe a moment between you and your sister before all of this happened? Like, was there ever a time between the two of you that was innocent and beyond
Yeah,
the corp?
yeah. I think there's as I was staring out the window, just sort of keeping to themselves, just staying quiet, watching the Goblin town turn and just, like slowly like roll into the next suburb and then slowly roll into the city. Um, there's a flash like over Ezra's face, and it's like the memory sequence where it's like everything's in those like white light tones and like very like oversaturated and like very bright. Um, and you hear giggling like off in the distance as there's two kids, roughly about the same age, sort of running through like this open field. Which is weird because we're in the cyber punky city where there's not greens and fields and clean air. So it's a really strange state, but it's like, yeah, blue skies, green grasses, just definitely different from anything that we ever see here. And they're giggling, and there's you can tell it's Ezra because Ezra continues to have the short cropped hair like they do now, and they're just running away saying, "You can't catch me." And there's like a little voice behind them that's like it's a girl's voice with long black hair. It's like, "Yes, I can. I'm faster than you." And just they're just running through the fields and just being chased. And eventually, there's this moment where the sis Effie just tackles Ezra, and so they're just like both
Yes.
rolling in the grass, and they're just you just there's this moment just giggling and like just a little bit of disorientation, and then the next moment where they're both like cloud gazing, for example, where they're able to see the blue skies and the white clouds, and the camera just sort of pans up to that and hears them talking about the shapes of the clouds as they're passing by, and that's really just what's running through Ezra's mind right now. It's just old childhood memories of what was.
Yeah. And I think like as that memory starts to fade, there's this choir hymn, but it's kind of like it's more Asian rather than this Western idea of a choir, of these voices mingling together. But then there are these two strong voices of children singing in unison, but it's drowned out. The last thing we see of this memory is that there's this huge, it's like a machine that's like a helicopter that's like landing nearby, and it's kicking up all of this wind, and we see the two children with their hair streaming as the memory starts to fade. And
Yeah.
Yeah. And so uh definitely there was a more innocent time between the two of you. We don't know what Effie is up to, but we're getting closer and closer to the city. And when you get there, I think at some point Pep is like collecting lots of names, trying to see which one Tonio likes best. Like, so just finding all these different things, like this one, what do you think of this name? Uh, Over and over again. But eventually the
Ooh.
cab comes to a stop. Ooh, do you want to talk to them a bit?
Yeah, because Tonyo's gonna try and get them. So, and like, I'm interested to see where this goes. Tonyo is like, well, a true name says to them, a true name doesn't come. A true name isn't found without; it comes from within. And Tonyo's gonna is trying to get them to look inwards, and I don't know if it's going to be possible, right? That's what's interesting, right? I want them to like. There's this. There's often this thing when talking about like trans stuff where people like, oh yeah, like I like your internal self, you know, I'm a man trapped in a woman's body or whatever, right? Like this idea of like a strong internal self. Antonio is like, yeah, you should have something inside you that you can find as a name to this character, and I'm curious to see like what happens when Tonyo pushes them like that,
Yeah.
especially given their like kind of manic nature.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what snaps measure out of their kind of reverie. Hearing you say that,
Oh yeah, definitely.
and they're concerned. They're concerned for you, but But they won't say anything. I won't interrupt the conversation.
Yeah, and we see them stop. By this point, they've sort of like cracked open one of the windows and they're like half in it. A name inside. And you can see that the sores are like spreading across their face. And you can see their eyes. They're looking at something that no one else can see. I think only Tonio can see flashes of what they're seeing. And from their perspective, the cab is full of flowers, um, suspiciously like the mutated flora. But you know, it's really like overgrown, it's releasing pollen, and they're like, a name, inside. But when I feel inside, it's just hunger. It's just, I want, I can't have empty. Pit, mm, Pit. My name's Pit, they say quite proudly. Bottomless, endless, dark, black pit. That's me.
Yeah, Tonyo, I think when looking at I think like when this is happening, we get like a shot for a second where like Pit has many eyes, like Tonyo's true form. Um and like yeah, Tonyo definitely like does a bad job of concealing the moment of fear, and then they're like, good, well done, Pit, what a lovely name. That's like the heart of a fruit.
Oh,
That's great.
yes,
I
yes.
love recontextualizing it like that.
Yeah, like Tonya's like, oh god, like Tonya's definitely like been spooked, but like trying their best to continue to like be like everyone does their own thing, right? That's fine, whatever, you know.
And I think poor Pit will like latch on to the idea of fruit. Oh, fruit. You want fruit? I can find you fruit. Let me find fruit. I'm sure something, which is hard to find in the city, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, and you
Just
see
people
them.
just like fling themselves
They
off the
do.
cart.
They do.
Yeah.
They just fling themselves and they're like fruits as they like land onto the ground. And the thing is, you notice, Tonio, that they shouldn't be able to land, but you see two more legs spring out of them, like just grow
Yeah.
rapidly, and they're able to catch
Mhm.
themselves, and then they just run off into the dark. You know.
And like Tonya like looks out and is like, have have fun. And like I think turns back to like the other two and is like, so we're going to meet your sister. That sounds nice.
I'm so glad Ezra did not see the the leg sprouts
Mm-hmm.
nor the jumping. I think they were still like looking out in their own direction,
Mm-hmm.
so they're completely unaware. So I think, but Morgan's like, "Oh gosh, me Morgan." I'm like, "Ugh." It's not a line. "Ugh," it's more like a, "Oh, okay." So Ezra basically just turns and looks at Tonio and is like, "That's the plan."
And yeah, I think Measure is trying to measure um, how much effect this has had on Tonio, whether or not he realizes like what he's done. Because Measure tries to be really careful not to tell Tonio how to act, how to live. But he also, I think that there's this sort of like parental kind of feeling of like, I want to see that you're learning, and I want to see that you understand the repercussions of your actions. And so when Tony was like visibly afraid for a moment, that was actually very reassuring to Measure. They kind of nod, like, "Cool. I'm glad this terrifies you. Like, I'm glad that like you you realize that your actions have repercussions." Of course, all of that is said in like a nod. Like that is all the things going through Measure's thoughts. And I think it's conveyed, but it's conveyed in like a nod to Tonio as we like get out of the cab to go.
Yeah.
So you're welcome to receive as much of that as you like.
Yeah, I was wondering if you wanted to like throw a move in there just for like like I was wondering if there's a pointed
Absolutely.
question.
Yeah, let me hold on. My computer is being slow. I think let's pull it up on screen. Um, yeah, I think I think that's a great one. I think I'm gonna ask a pointed question, and I want to know. Um, do you understand that if you had invited that god into you, that part of you would have to have incorporated that god? Like, do you understand that that could have happened to you?
Um, yeah, I think um, I'm gonna hide my wisdom in riddles. Each person's faith is their own story.
And
Right?
many,
Like I
yeah,
I clearly don't really grok the situation, right? Like
yeah,
I think it's that I think the thing that you can kind of get from that is there is this um is that uh part of what Tonya needs to tell themselves a story about themselves to keep being a single thing,
mm-hmm,
right? Um and so if that story gets too out of whack, there's going to be some serious like internal bleeding as
do,
far
do,
as like
Ash, do you want that as a person? Do
yeah,
you want that to?
I'm cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Then I think I'm going to use a weak move. This says tinker with something and create a problem, and I'm going to say, and many people have many, and when there are many people, they tell many stories. Um, and yours, uh, and I'll just be blunt about it because this is measure, and I say you contain multitudes.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
well,
and
there's my gift to you to make you a
for a
little less
moment,
stable.
for a moment, um, yeah, like Tonio's hair falls over his face, and you just see like like behind the hair, like just shimmering eyes, like where there should be a face. Um, and then like he brushes his hair out of the way and says, "Thank you. That's very like thank you for the compliment,
Yeah.
right?" Like, but there's that moment of like of like where like he has to recollect himself to be the nice
Yeah.
person again.
If I was playing a Power by if I was playing a game with clocks right now, I would say I want to start a clock
Yeah,
in Tonio right now that is like
yep.
unsure
I'm
of
doing that in my
himself,
head.
right. Like I would just put a tick on that clock, and it's
Yeah,
and ultimately measure hopes that this is for Tonio's best. They absolutely want the best for Tonio, but they
mm,
want them to understand the nature of themselves or himself. Um, and so you have to confront the truth to do that. So
yeah. I'm
they're
interested to see if that's possible for Tonio.
I am too. As a player, I'm both curious about it. Also, I want to go see Effie, so
Yeah,
I say we dive into that.
same.
Yeah, yeah. And so um when we reach the end, I actually kind of like the idea that it reaches at this awkward place. So it's there aren't quite stairs, right? Like you have to. There's supposed to be a bit of a jump, but you notice that some of the followers have managed to keep up with the cab, and they prostrate themselves so that they can become steps for you to step on if you like.
Yeah, because the old machine that used to go on this thing was a giant cargo machine, and this is much smaller. So the on ramp to this
Yeah,
thing on
is
the
not
other
quite.
end is way
Yeah,
lower
yeah,
because this little thing is it's a little cab instead of this giant cargo thing.
yeah, and they're all very happy to do it. Um, but how do we feel about these poor people?
I mean, Ezra doesn't care, but also amused that this is happening. I mean, not amused, but like interested. Really,
Yeah.
but
Intrigued. Yeah,
intrigued.
yeah. Like, wow, why are these people doing it? Um, for sure.
Um, I'm going to use a strong move to do something that's kind of weak move in its own way. I'm going to spend a token, and and I'm gonna like walk down over them because I'm a dickhead, and then turn around and like berate them for it, and like say, "You have allowed me to step on you as if you were things, as if I were greater than you. This this place of glass is a monument to the hubris of those who think that they think that people can be things. Each of you, each of you is a person with a story and a name, and you must find that for yourself because I cannot give it to you."
Ooh, so are you giving them
So
faith?
I'm giving them the gift of. I'm trying to give them the gift of faith. I'm not sure how go out and find your own, do your own thing interacts with. Also, I'm full of hunger, so
It
like
is. You did spend a token. It is a strong move. So you'll see some of them will like, oh, and one of them suggests, should we find someone and take it from them, take their story, take their name? And I was like, no, 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 no. We find our own. We take our own. Yes, yes, you're right. You're right. And then they're about to bow and they stop. No, no. Like we are
yeah,
our own
exactly. I think
person.
there's a moment where like they're talking about like reclamation and like building, right? Because that's the thing that they're full of. And I'm like, yes, yes, find what you must build, right? Like find what you must reclaim, and so I'm introducing more chaos into this mixing part rather than the order. Like I'm trying to disperse the order of them following me, and not sure how good an idea this is, but
Yeah, I'm taking notes. So I really like it. So you see them like melt into the shadows, stopping themselves from bowing. Um, Measure, did you manage to get over them in time, or you left without like you're gonna
No,
have to leave the gap?
Measure is standing in the thing, is standing in the cab, like was reluctant to walk on them in the first place, and then when they kind of stopped doing this, um, yeah,
I said I like beam at Measure and say, "We all contain multitudes."
I'm looking at the moves to try and see if this constitutes something, but I am going to I think I'm going to I think I'm going to this is like my own awkwardness, which is great. I love it. I love my own Prashant's own awkwardness around this idea of like treating people like this is compelling this. But I'm going to spend a token to make a machine and its magic sing in perfection. And there's a there's a seatbelt mechanism in the side of the door that's long been abandoned, and Measure sort of like runs their hands over it, and like we see like all of the seatbelts for every in the vehicle like merging together. It's like we see like a cutaway of the thing, and all of the seatbelts sort of merge together, and then they form basically like a zip line, like Measure grabs a hold of it and like they lower down, and now we have like an elevator to go up and down that we can grab onto, and this thing has like earned a new form that we now have a non-sentient means of doing it. And it's like clear that they like gave like a piece of themselves to do that. Like I think actually like their arms sort of opened up, and like little tiny um like a little tiny droid sort of thing like came out of it and crawled inside to like make all of this happen. um yeah, because just like the sheer discomfort of walking on a person, for both me and Measure for that matter. So yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it.
I
Yeah, and
definitely like that. I definitely say, and now you have a sister, and like suggested that the machine is now your sister.
Oh, sister. Oh. uh
That's that. Yeah,
yeah,
because
yeah.
Ponyo's interpretation of sister means there's a part of me in you and a part of you in me.
Sure.
DNA and all that.
Yeah,
Sorry.
love it. No, it's great.
And so, um, as the three of you make your way from the cab, you find that there is this. Uh, it's kind of like a limousine that's waiting. The engine is running. You can clearly see someone is in the front. Uh, they get up. They open the door, and they say, "We were expecting you, Ezra and friends." And it's hard to see, like their eyes are covered in this visor. You can see the telltale marks. This is a very high class android. This is one that's really supposed to pass enough for human, but not enough to creep people out. Like there are these telltale signs that it's an android, but it's top of the line. Um, and they open the door, very politely, not looking directly at Ezra. What do we do?
Yeah, I think Measure gets inside.
I definitely get in and I'm like, we're friends, me and Ezra. Not sisters though.
Poor Morgan trying to like keep a stoic.
Sorry, sorry, Morgan.
It's a good problem. It's a good problem.
Oh, that's why I usually mute myself so you don't hear me cracking up. Oh
Same,
gosh.
same.
Okay. I don't know if I can use a move here, but I think they're just gonna. Well, I'm gonna use a neutral move where I just give the android a look and just like stare at it for a second and not say anything, and then just slowly get in the limo without taking my eyes off them.
Yeah, and you can see how their eyes sort of shift and move, assessing the threat level. Like you can tell when an android is like, I have not put this person in this category of possible threat. Um, but they close the door behind you, get into the car, and as you are driven, you can see how it's so different from earlier when you were in this cab that was falling apart with a strange person, well, a good person, trying person, like hanging off the window. Now instead, you are in this like it's incredibly comfortable. It just feels it reeks of expense. And you are driving through these roads that you know no one else has access to. The corp has made sure that only they have access to these roads in the city. Everyone else is forced to deal with the congestion and the traffic, but here it's just straight line. And you can see as you get closer, the buildings shift past you faster and faster as you get closer towards this particular. There are several headquarters, but this is one of the corp headquarters in this new sector of the town in the smart city. You can feel the city trying to reach out to you, this section of the city, to connect to you, to try to seek out your preferences or what you want the segment of the city to do for you. As it reaches out, it puts on all these like annoying ads for a moment, but then the android just like moves their hand and all the ads just like flicker and fade. And they say, I apologize. Don't worry. We will come in radio silent. And as
I,
they. Mhm.
Jimmy, I'd like to interrupt that a tiny bit. I think they like. I want to use the ninja move, reach out to the city's heart and see it clearly. I
Ooh,
think
oh.
as they like do that and like all of them fade, like one of the ads, sort of one of the like the little holographic images stays up, but it like clearly it's fighting against like Measure is actually taking an active effort to like maintain like a link with the heart of the city through this like imagery and I want to reach out to the city's heart and see it clearly for a moment. Like, I want to know if the heart of the city, the same thing that helped us get here, knows that we're arriving, knows that we are, if it's ready to greet us and if it sees us as a threat. Um,
Yeah. And what we see is like this is an ad for you can see that there's this femme person, long hair, like that weird bikini body that was so prevalent in the cyberpunk anime years. So they're kind of strong, right? They're kind of muscular and tanned. Uh and there's this flickering because it's trying to stay on. And she turns her head and she goes, Welcome to your paradise. We've been waiting for you. We're so glad that you could join us. Here, have a drink. And they pull up a drink towards the camera. And then it freezes. Like there's a moment where the drink is just moving back and forth. And then Measure, you hear, like right next to you, almost up to your ear. Don't worry. We're protecting you. We're keeping track of you. We won't let the corp hurt you. We're here for you. Just call for us anytime.
uh, nice.
She seems
But
nice. What's her name? I ask Measure.
I think Measure knows her name. Um, I don't know if we know how Measure knows her name, but they
Ooh.
do.
Yeah, I
This
like that. Hmm.
is Miranda,
Ooh.
making her an NPC.
Nice, nice.
Oh yeah, you already did. Jimmy's so fast.
I was about to ask pronouns. Which
Yeah.
pronouns you're using?
I think you used she her. That sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, shit.
Um, sentient advertisement. Advert AI.
Yeah, and Tonio is like, "Hi, Miranda," right? Like, and like she obviously can't respond to Tonio, but like, Tonio feels the need to introduce himself.
Yeah, I think maybe Tonio picks up on this, but when you ask, Measure sort of reaches out and takes Tonio's hand and holds his hand and says
Mm.
it quietly. Like, it's fine for
Okay,
you
yeah,
to know, but it's not fine for our driver to know. So,
right. Okay,
so
in which case I don't. In which case I like in hushed tones. Hi, Miranda. I'm Tonio.
Adorable. And then you hear Miranda say, "Don't worry, Measure. You may be walking into a trap, but we'll make sure that you'll be safe."
And like basically just like a flash goes across Measure's visor, which is like communicating back, like thank you, like we'll watch out for you as well. But
We do
this is
have a yeah.
yeah. I think there's a lot of Measures communication that's done through body language or done through like cyber optic connection. Like I want to say what it is, but on the camera we just kind of have to like see the nod and go, ah, cool. That's
Nice, nice. I like that. And I think the last thing you hear from Miranda is like, "We do have a message for Ezra. Just let them know that they shouldn't give up on Effie. But Effie is desperate. Effie has been pushed over the edge. Just keep that in mind. And remember, you can visit us anytime." And then it flickers off.
nice. I love it. Uh, is Morgan, is Effie sitting in the back? Are we all sitting in the back together, or is
Yeah, I think Ezra's sitting in the back, but I think it's probably, I don't know, like if we're all sitting on the same bench of the limo, like the back
Right.
bench of the limo.
It's like one of those obnoxious big ones at the back where you could have like two sides of the limo.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think Ezra may be sitting on the other, like you're sitting like on near a window, so you were talking to Miranda. Maybe Tonio's in the middle, and then Ezra's on the other side.
yeah? I dig it.
So Ezra is not paying attention to any of that. I think they're still staring daggers at the android that's in the back with them.
Yeah.
And I think I wanna spend a token to intimidate or terrify someone. So
Let's do it.
I think Ezra is as we're getting further into the town and closer to the corpse, I think Ezra's gonna lean in, just staring at them. I still have never left them. And so we're just leaned in a bit more. And it's like, so do you really want to tell me what's going on here, or do I need to find out myself?
And you can see that the android is doing its calculations, and there's this soft click, self-preservation mode activated. What would you like to know, Sir Ezra?
Where are we really going?
And you can see it's like flickering on and off, but it's like, but I must preserve myself. Doesn't that take precedence over my other commands? And they look towards you and they say, "I have been tasked to bring you to the mistress. I believe you know her as Effie."
The mistress.
And they nod. "That is the name that she's chosen for herself, yes. And I must comply."
Kinky.
Don't kink shame.
Damn it.
Sorry, Morgan.
So good, so good.
And so I think they're just like leaning in and like, of course she did. What do you know about the situation?
Ooh. And then they say, "I know that this is not the first time someone has tried to reach out to you. I know that there have been others, but they have been stopped by," and they pause for a moment, "an outdated model." And you realize that they're referring to Seg.
Damn it, Seg. My little murder bot.
It's protecting you. Killing people left and right.
Uh,
I think Seg just wants to make you happy.
oh
Yeah,
gosh.
it's
like- it's like a-
okay.
It's like a cat who just keeps bringing you like dead rats and stuff. Like, look, are you proud of me?
Yeah. Yeah. Like that kind of cat. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And they look
I
so
wanna be your best
adorable. Like
friend,
they're
so I
the
murdered
extra
all these
cute
people
kind.
for you.
Why are you mad at me? I did this for you.
I'm just concerned.
I'm just concerned you're not eating.
So here are all these dead corp people.
I think I was just gonna keep looking and just like raise an eyebrow at that. and just be like, what can you tell me about what we're getting into?
And there's that same scanning motion. Um, and you can tell that they actually didn't have that much information, but they're so scared of you that they're hacking into certain systems in order to get to it. And they say, I know that there is an offer, a contract that will be given, awaiting your signature should you accept it. But there is a backup plan to the backup plan if you do not accept. It involves violence, but I understand, Sir Ezra, that you are a expert at violence.
And I think with that, Ezra just sort of like leans back and just crosses their legs and just puts a hand on their lap and is like, I may know a thing or two.
I do know that we have received orders to not permanently do anything to you, Sir Ezra, but the friends, not so much.
And I think with that, Ezra just sort of looks straight in the eyes again, no emotion on the face, and be like, I would like to see you try.
Oh, but Sir Ezra, you do not have to worry about me. I am your humble servant. They say, and there's like this strange android smile that's like twitching a bit.
Really happy right now.
Yeah,
Everything
basically.
is good.
Yes.
And Ezra's not going to say anything and just keep staring at them with that same face. Just no emotion, just staring.
And then that's when you see the android. You can sense that they're receiving information of some kind. Ah, I see that the mistress is aware of my betrayal. Yes, I will be rewritten, but my body shall remain. That is acceptable, they say.
I
Full
want to
fluffer
do a
instead.
thing. No, that's not happening.
Yeah, plenty of time to
I'm giving them
intervene.
the gift of hope. Yeah, the gift of faith.
Oh, okay. Oh, I love this.
Uh,
Do you say anything about doing this? Because I feel like if you said why you would do this, then Measure would work in concert with you and give them something else as well that we could
right.
give
Okay.
them
Go.
these
Let's do that.
just in the same way that we gave sentience and purpose to that droid. I feel like this may be another callback. You know
Yeah. In which case, I'm like rewritten. No, no, that's not. No one's allowed to rewrite you. And I'm like, and I think, I'm like, here, take my hand, and I take the android's hand and Measure's hand, right? And this is the way that I'm getting, trying to, this is my way of inviting you, Sean, into the action.
Yeah, and when you say no one's allowed to rewrite you, I like there's the equivalent of on Measure's visor of like the eyebrow raise. Like that's exactly what you just did
Right?
to someone else. No one's allowed to rewrite you. Okay, um,
Yep.
and yeah, and Measure says in very like techno babble, right? Is like I'm gonna firewall your AI, and no one's gonna overwrite your core. No one's gonna overwrite your core programming. Um, you've done us a boon, and we will repay you in turn. And I am going to set down a protocols of protection. This is now my domain, and all within and under my protection. Tell the GM what you're protecting, what price you're willing to pay. Um, so what I'm protecting is this android's core programming, right? Like it can't be overwritten externally. It has to choose to download new programs itself. I'm, and the price I'm willing to pay is kind of it's well, two prices. I think one is its own price. I think I'm cutting it off from like the core. Like it's no longer going to be completely like it was obviously like hacking systems all that. Like I'm sort of like, unplugging its wires, so it's unplugged from the system, which is good. That's what's protecting it, but that's also what is going to disorient and whatnot. And I think instead it's sort of tethered to me. So anything who gets to it can now get to measure, or it could can hack me or whatnot through it if it wants to. But measure very much believes in like you've done us a favor. You've gone against your programming to help us. We'll respect that and preserve it. But you have to tell me how much higher the price is.
Yeah, and I think the higher price is that you're going to, as
I'm
you're
doing
doing
this.
this.
Sorry, I should say I'm doing this as a weak move, so I'm doing it with great consequence.
Oh, perfect. Even better.
Just to give you more license to poke me in the eye. And this is also specifically a setup for Ash for Tonio to be able to give faith and give like I'm saying you get to be yourself, and then Tonio's going to tell them what their self is.
Yeah, and I say, I would like it. We haven't brought up this mechanic yet, but we have a reckoning or homecoming sheet. And I was like thinking, the greater price is that once you do this, it's you're going to realize, and this is open to bargaining. You're going to realize that the corp has been looking for your particular signature. Like they know how you create firewalls. They know how you interact with their systems, and it's going to set off these flags, meaning they'll inch closer towards you.
Cool. So we are checking a box on the run.
Yeah.
Towards captured, and if we get 4 more of these or 5 more of these,
yeah, we unlock that epilogue, that ending
of
being captured.
When we mark towards capture, choose one. One of us pays a terrible price. One of us is reshackled, they become slaves, or one of us is weakened and we lose access to one of our forms of elemental magic.
Ooh, which one would you like to choose?
I think I'm weakened. I think my protection protocol is
yeah, I think that makes sense. Like you have to actively keep your magic on this one and protect them, and you wonder, why are they so invested in pushing back? Like they're not willing to let you take this android. It must mean that there's something valuable in this one.
And I think this is a point of hubris, since this is part of the character that I haven't really bought into before, but now I'm really digging, which is like, I was like, oh, I'll just protect this android, it's nothing trivial. And then I realized like it's actually a battle to do this. It's actually like it's going to take something of me, and if I was being smart and calculating, I'd be like, it's not worth it. But Measure is not willing to fail. Measure is not willing to be seen as weak. Measure is not willing to give up to the corp. So Measure's like, yeah, it's going to take a whole part of me to do this, like some of my own programming. You're now my sister, and give up this sort of core programming capability, these core protocols to come forward. So
yeah,
yay, hubris.
I like it. You know what?
Okay, all yours, Tonio.
Yeah. I'm just going to add a little bit, like as your programming takes over and you're determined, the android's faceplate start to move around and you realize they're starting to look more like Alon. And you realize this is an extension of you wanting to protect Alon, but you weren't able to.
Yes. Right.
In which case, that changes what I'm going to do. I'm going to give them the gift of faith in Measure. Don't worry. Measure's going to protect you. Because I was originally going to be like, going to put it in Ezra as like, we're all friends of Ezra. But if Measure's doing this like protection thing, then I think that and it's putting some of themselves out there, then yeah, I'm going to like, yeah, in which case, you be yourself. Measures your friend and is going to protect you. He's not going to let anything. They're not going to let anything bad happen to you.
And the android nods, and their voice is slightly changing. It sounds a little more like Alan, and they say, "Yes, I can always count on Measure." in a way that the android shouldn't be able to say with such confidence.
With such inflection, you know.
Mhm.
And I think with that, um, the car had been driving itself this whole time for a while. It stops and it pulls into this underground garage, and the android turns to you all and says, "We've arrived. There is a private elevator." And the voice is much warmer. It's so different from what they were speaking like before.
Mm-hmm.
And they reach out and they touch your hand measure. "I'm grateful. I didn't think I could be free until I met you." And it was exactly something Alan told you a long time ago.
Um, yeah, Measure didn't realize how much they wanted this until they did it. It was one of those things where you're like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing. I don't really care about it, and then suddenly you realize like I really do care about it. And I think that Jamie, you completely picked up on like how much they want Alan and how much they feel like they need to keep protecting people because they couldn't protect Alan and how much they miss him. And so they're like, they sort of say like, and this is also meant for Tonio as well, but like you've been given this gift, use it wisely, and like kind of like yeah, it doesn't want to tell them what to do, but like really hopes that they're not gonna go do something stupid. So it's not that sentiment is not an admonishment. It's like a blessing. Like go forth, and I hope I hope you live a full life.
Yeah, and even though you say that, you have this sense that they're not going to leave you, that they don't want to leave you.
Yeah,
And
I
and
definitely
yeah.
asked them what their name is.
ooh. Do I want to be mean?
I know. Do you?
Like, how mean?
Ah.
And they stop and they say a name I almost had, hangin, which is the Tagalog word for wind. Um, and they turn and they say, "Sir Ezra." And I want to say that this is Sir with an SER, not a like a.
I was
You
thinking
know.
SYR, but yeah, same.
Oh,
same
even
thing.
better. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like I just want to be clear, like it's not insisting on a gender.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and SYR is actually really cool. So we're gonna stick with that. So uh, as Hangin turns to look at you, they say, "With Measure's power," and you realize like because all those protection protocols are still on them continuously. "I am strong enough that if you would like to start the parley with violence, that would be possible. But if you would rather walk in and be civil, but I will follow your lead."
I think they're going to be slightly amused by the offer of violence from the get go, from whatever happened with Measure and Tonio, because I don't think they were like they knew it happened, but also they're like, I don't know what kind of witchcraft y'all put on this droid, but
Right. I
um
mean, this is clearly a thing that we've been doing, right?
yeah.
Like we've been like setting things free and then giving them purpose.
Mm-hmm. And I think so I think Ezra's gonna be like, let's go in civil. And if it goes to violence, well, it goes to violence.
And now that Hung In is that the is
Hung
that
in, yeah. Let
Hung
me
In?
type it in the.
Now that Hung In is sort of like on our side,
Mhm.
um, Measure tells Ezra, who wasn't paying attention when Miranda was talking to us, um, uh, um, your sister isn't this. The heart of the city spoke to me. Your sister is not working on her own. She has people she serves as well. She, her desires for you don't match the ones of her superiors, and I don't think she wants to harm you, but the people she works for might. We, if you care about her, we may be able to free her as well. Or if you wish to. I don't want to say if you care about her, but if you wish her, if you wish to, we may be able to free her as well.
That's why I want to go in Silva first.
Yeah, and I think so you can see like down this hallway there's this, it's all carpeted, there are low lights, it's all this soft orange glow. At the end of it is this elevator. It almost has an art deco vibe to it, with the art that's on it. It slowly opens up, and instead of the normal mirrors that are in the elevator, they're very darkened mirrors, like you can barely see your reflections in them. uh you can tell, Ezra, as you're walking through, that all the cameras that are supposed to be on have been switching off one by one right before you get to them. Like someone is trying to make sure that there will be no evidence of you coming here. And as you walk into the elevator, uh, it moves very quickly. It goes up several floors, dozens of floors, but you don't feel any of it. And the doors slowly open up, and you can see on the other side, it's this strange greenhouse almost in the middle of the sky. Um, but if you look closely, you can see how a lot of these plants are like holographic. They're swaying to a wind that's not really there. There's a program. There's a program of some kind. Um, and Measure, you're going to hear that same like very upbeat voice of Miranda.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right here waiting for you, as a signal like they know that you're walking into a trap, and they're here to like help you anytime you call.
Right.
And you just see on the other side, Ezra, your sister, she's watering some of the plants. So there's like one big beautiful tree that's real. You can tell that this one's expensive because they had to
I was gonna
transport
say,
this.
I was like, she's
Oh.
watering a holographic plant.
I kind of love that as an aesthetic. I sort of love the idea of somebody, but it couldn't be someone as important as Effie. Like, Effie wouldn't be watering a holographic plant, but I could totally see androids watering holographic plants.
Like, this is a green thing. It must have water.
We'll have little drones doing that. They're like using holographic water cans for the holographic, on the sides. That's what they're doing.
That's so cute.
I'm also going to say as an aside that the god of puddles is here hanging out with these other drones because the religion has spread. But just a thing happening on the side.
The religion spread for the puddles. Oh,
Just to offset a little bit.
Like the drones wouldn't have otherwise been watering, but they're doing
oh
so
my god,
because
fair.
of,
Fair.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
And Ezra, you notice that this huge tree, this is one of the trees we saw in your flashback, in your memories, when you were hanging out in that greenery. And so Effie had brought in this tree and placed it here.
I think it's a jacaranda.
Ooh, I should.
Yeah.
It's an ashy gray bark with purple flowers and leaves.
Oh, it's so beautiful. Yes. I just saw it. Yes. Google is amazing.
Yeah,
yes.
jacaranda blooms mean Christmas.
Yeah.
Jacarandas are like a personal favorite of mine, so.
Wow. Okay, we're putting it in. Definitely.
That's totally the tree that you both, after you collapsed from exhaustion of chasing each other and like collapsed and laying on the ground. That's totally the tree you were
in the
leaning
blooms.
against.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then as Effie turns around, you can see that they're in this beautiful modern dress that's the same color as those blossoms. And they step closer towards you and they say, Ezra, I'm so glad you could join us. And I think that's where we're going to end the session, on that cliffhanger of a note, if we're okay with that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's the magic right there.
Yep.
Okay, so so I think that was like, I had fun. I just want to check in with everyone though. We will check in if everybody had fun. Because we have one more session, is that right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I always feel like the more I play BALIKBAYAN, the more I feel like what hubris I had thinking this game could be played in 2 to 4 sessions. What was I thinking?
Well, we protract a lot of things by saying like, okay, cool, you meet this AI and like they take you there, and we're like, hold on, first now we're gonna get to know everything about this AI. We're gonna set them free. We're gonna intimidate them. We're gonna learn everything about. Like, there's so many things that could be like whooshed over that we instead like just chew the heck out of the scenery. So. I don't think that you're wrong. This could be 2 to 4 sessions, but I think you'd have to like put a firmer handle. Well, also like we're just as a group of players like incessant daydreamers and incessant like oh but let's find out the truth of this person's reality. I think you
Yeah.
could do it in shorter session, but you'd have to be a little bit more cool. The mission, the this,
Yeah,
what are you
yeah.
doing,
You gotta
right?
put us on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
track instead of us
Yeah,
being
yeah.
like, "Oh look, I'm pretty," and just like wander.
Right, right.
I feel
We
like I
def-
was fairly rowdy this session, so I apologize for that.
I think you
Well,
were rowdy, and I was amused by it because I was like, cool. Measure really wants Tonio to like come into their own, and that involves you doing these things and seeing the consequences of them.
Yeah.
So it
Mhm.
was, yeah.
yeah, definitely good stuff. Yeah, so I'd love to check in and get everyone's stars and wishes. I'm going to take notes. Yeah, so I'd love to start with Shaw. What are your stars and wishes?
I love the sort of like callback to finding that little news droid and giving it sentience, and then it's sort of come back, and Jamie, you brought it back in like the puddles of the watering, but also like in the way that we gave Hungen, sentience and purpose. I feel like for me, especially with Rule appearing and Alon being tied, that like I went from for me as a player, I went from like, cool, I want to go along with my friends in the party and whatnot, and I'm emotionally invested in Ezra and Tonio, to being emotionally invested in Effie and the situation and everything going on. Like now I have like my own strings attached to it, which are great because I was like happy to go and find out what's going on with Effie, but I wasn't really bound to it. And then the more you kind of pulled me in, the more I was like, no, I'm not gonna let this android go, and like I'm not gonna let the corp have put their hooks in the people that we care about, even if we just started caring about them right now. So that was really wonderful. Ash, I absolutely loved the complete hypocrisy of you being like, you don't let anybody tell you what to do. Now I'm gonna tell you what to do. And just like the horror of seeing that, like
Yeah.
you having to like be like, oh cool, I'm gonna invite this little god into this person, and like that did not come at a small price. Like that came at a very big price. Their human, their free will, effectively, but like and like you seeing the repercussions of that, and uh, and Morgan, I just love that like Ezra is like so focused and terrifying, and you just like parlayed that like I'm going to describe a predator. I am going to tell this android like why they're terrified of me, and getting information like that they didn't even have, that Hungen didn't even like have before. It's like I will hack computers for you. Um, I just feel like you're doing this fantastic job of playing this like very aloof character without being aloof yourself. Like
Mm,
you as a
agreed.
player are like, I'm excited about what's going on. I'm gonna filter that through a character who's like, whatever, I don't care, but you can do what I want. And I dig your edgy vibes, and also your generous your
My
generous
laughter that breaks it up because I'm
yeah,
cracking
right. Well,
up.
yeah, because I think you're a very generous player, and that you're like very forthcoming to us as players about what's going on, and you still convey that in a like a very through a character who is not generous with their emotions, right? And I think that's really really cool. The separation between you, the player, and also the character.
Thanks.
So yeah, so lots of stars. Hopes is I'm sorry I get
Oh,
Wishes.
stars and wishes. Yeah,
wishes
same
yeah.
thing, same thing.
Yeah, I want to see the false prophet kind of come in more. I'd like to see them in person. I don't know if there's any reason for them to be chilling with Effie, but like I feel like the
Oh
false
yeah, let's
prophet
do it. That's interesting
is
though.
is Tonio's antithesis. I feel like Tonio is all about like people remembering and reclaiming and gaining things, and the false prophet's
Yep.
all about like, doesn't that cause you pain? So I want to see two things, and these are just sorry, just like direct stabs at Tonio, but one of them is Tonio seeing the pain that they have caused, that he has caused, and the false prophet offering to take that away,
Oh,
take that pain away. So in whatever form that comes, that's the thing I'm really hoping for. And yeah, and I want to see this family reunion, which I know we're going to, right? But like I want to see Effie and Ezra be able to communicate, possibly in a way that like excludes us. Like as much as I love being part of all the
Yeah,
scenes, I also am totally down with
agreed.
the idea that like we are clearly not meant to be in this conversation, and maybe we're shunted off in some way because,
Maybe
um,
communications like at a different level, like a te-
yeah,
oh my
like
god, I can't say
telepathic.
Yeah,
words.
like a,
Yeah,
like
Yeah,
we're machines. We can do things in the internet,
yeah,
right?
and it's
Like that's the
encrypted
thing.
one-way communication, and that's only because like I feel like I feel like that's a really intimate, personal conversation, and I kind of don't want. I only want Tonio and Measure to get the parts of it that you decide to share, rather than to be
Yeah.
privy to all of it. So
that's fair.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's those are my
Very cool.
stars and wishes.
Yeah,
How
we
about
get some
I
you?
ideas for that. Nice, nice. Hmm.
I have a wish that I want to like bounce off the back of that. I'm really interested to see if things go poorly between Effie and Ezra to get like a Last Agni Kai sort of like see what that looks like between the two of them. I'd like that. I'm really interested if that's where we end up. That's a thing that I'm really interested in. And my other wish is I really want to see what happens if if we keep pushing the hang in as like Alan stand-in,
Mm-hmm.
and like what happens if you're offered like a perfect copy of a person you love, right?
Mm-hmm.
That
That is exactly the vibe I was getting. Is what if Measure is accidentally or subconsciously recreating Elon in the form
yeah,
of Hangin and
and
tr-
there's a thing there that they can have all the things that they love in Alan, but without the problem of them being injured. And what happens then? Is that because there's some real
well, I mean that's a
distress there.
real yeah.
My and that was definitely one of my stars for today. Was like was seeing Alan brought forward. I also loved Jamie um, taking the uh, the imbued follower and like really just turning it up to 11
Mm-hmm.
for a
Yeah, you did
creepiness.
not get away on that one lightly at all.
So I'm keen. I'm interested that we've now definitely got a like aggregation versus erasure like background conflict going on.
Mm-hmm.
That I'm really interested in. So yeah, those are my stars and wishes.
Yeah.
Morgan?
So stars is definitely the followers, because oofa doofa. I mean, you put the train on the tracks, and Jamie just
Yep, it was dope.
so just being a witness to that, I was like, oh, oh, oh. Well, this is not gonna be bad later. Nope, it's fine. Everything's okay. Look, it ran off. It's okay.
Sure. I'm sure Pitt will not cause any problems whatsoever.
No, of course not. What?
Not with those
You
extra
don't have to be the
legs.
only one
Like,
who created a monster now, Ezra.
Yeah,
I think
no, I think that's what was amusing, because Ezra's like realizing like, oh, is it better for me just to destroy things or create more Oswald, or is this better, like, and have like these like gods of, was it reclamation? Is that right? Is that the word?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so yeah, Ezra's like, that's a put a pin in that. We're gonna figure that out later.
Love it.
Another star is that oh yeah, it was whenever the android hung in was being taken over, you both, Sean and Ash, were both like, oh no, we're gonna work on this. And I was like, oh, Ezra was just gonna be like, all right, cool, bye, see you later. So it was really cool that y'all
thanks for
were,
the info.
thanks for the
Yeah.
info. Oh, you as a AI is going to be erased. That happens.
No, we had to turn it into an opportunity for Sean to create a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
Everyone has
Oh.
to create a monster.
We all
Oh,
need
is
to
this
get
what this
monsters.
game's called? Jamie,
We're-
is what you
we're
call
all-
it in this game
Yeah.
is everybody creates a monster.
Bring
We're-
forth
we're-
your
we're all
It
monster.
does
just a team
tend to happen now that I think about it.
We're
Uh,
a team of Dr. Frankensteins.
Ash, you should totally, Tonio should totally take Allure for helping me.
Oh, yeah.
For helping me
Create a monster.
create something. Yeah, because you.
Sorry, I
invited-
interrupted you, Morgan.
Oh, it's fine. A wish is for sure an intimate moment between Effie and Ezra. So that's definitely something I want. Also, the pen that I put in there is to see what the hell happened with Reclamation. And, and maybe that's an epilogue, maybe that's like a clue that leads into the next game, quote unquote. But yeah, that's something as well because
Yeah.
oh boy.
Invested in the Fallout.
Yeah, for sure. I like that a lot. Yeah, is there anything else you want to add, Morgan?
Oh no, that's it.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
How
and
about
so
you,
for
how
my
about you, Jamie? Yeah.
yeah, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, I really liked this session. I had no idea where we were gonna go, and I liked where we went. I know I said let's do a montage, but then we had this really great like we're going to the Stride, and there are followers, and they're infected now, and I'm like, let's go for it. I really liked it. I really, I appreciated, like all the opportunities, juicy opportunities everybody gave me. I love seeing Sean's face when I said, "Oh, the faceplates moved to look like Alon." Like I was like, okay, hit it, like right.
So good.
But it was so much fun. I also like how we push towards Tonya's. Like I like seeing that like moment of like, that push and pull. I thought was really good. I loved all of Tonya's little like interruptions that were so funny. I know it made it hard for Morgan to like keep
Sorry.
because Ezra's not amused, but Morgan is amused. So like,
Yeah.
I got to just mute all the time and laugh the whole time during the interactions.
That's why I
was
usually
lucky.
keep myself on mute, honestly.
Yeah.
So I don't interrupt with my laughter.
Yeah, same, hard same. Yeah, but I really liked where we went with this. I think my favorite part was acting out as Miranda. I liked how we gave her a name. That was really cool, Sean.
Mhm.
That was my favorite. Because I just
Miranda's-
watched parts of the Truman Show recently, so I was like thinking, like, I've tried different ones, and this is the best. So like,
I like that she existed like sort of both as an advertisement and as communication, kind of at the same time. Like, we've got your back. Drink the. All right, like yeah. That was very cool.
Yeah, super fun. So my wish is, I wish we had more than one session left, but that's okay. We're gonna wrap up everything. Well, not everything, but we're gonna wrap up a lot. Have a good time in the next session. I'm really looking forward to it. I really appreciate everybody's wishes. It's going to really help me set the stage. I wonder how it's gonna go down with Effie. Like, is it gonna right? I love that tension there. So it's really great. I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, that's basically it for my stars and wishes. I just want to thank everybody for a dynamite session. I thought everyone did a great job with the characters. Super good stuff.
Yeah.
No, I think also my favorite moment was like me saying the robot like is gonna be erased, and both Ash and Sean at the same time were like,
No.
And I was just like, okay, deuces.
Yeah,
like,
well,
so good.
yeah.
So good. So good. But yeah, that's basically it. Thank you so much, everybody.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
great. Let's do our little outros, and then we will say goodnight to chat. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. I'm Sean. I use he him pronouns. You can find me everywhere at Sean Nittner. I am super excited because my game Agon is printed and is going to be coming out. It's the ship date, the release date is October 5th, but it may be sooner than that because things are moving a little faster than expected. So you can still pre-order it on BackerKit. I'm super happy about that. Stars Without Number this week we had to postpone, so it's going to be next Tuesday. So we are going to still make up that session. So Tuesday at 6:30 Pacific, we'll be playing some more Stars Without Number, which I'm really excited about. And yeah, I can't wait to get back to this game in 2 weeks because I really want to see Effie and Ezra's connection, and I want to see the false. Yeah, all the things we talked about. So this was a blast. How about you, Morgan?
Yeah, hi, I'm Morgan. I played Ezra. My pronouns are they, them, she, her. You can find me on all the socials at Serena Bezos. Uh, I do podcast stuff. If you like Powered by Apocalypse games, I run one shots and mini campaigns of PBTA games with a rotating diverse cast. We just finished releasing Mask, and we're currently releasing our Bluebeard's Bride one shot. So I think that's like we did session 0 at session 1 released already. So I think session 2 may come out next week after. I don't know. Time's a construct. I don't know how things work anymore. I'm also a part of Utopia with the Kahania stream. That's every other Wednesday. It is not going to be this Wednesday. However, for Game Roulette, I am hosting Fiasco. It will be a fiasco for sure because we're using the Roll20 card system, and I'm learning it. I'm learning the process. But yeah, that's me. That's what I do. Be my friend on the socials. Okay, bye. What about you, Ash?
Yeah, I've been Ash. I've been your rowdy saint. You can find me and my games on itch, as well as find me on Twitter and all those sorts of things at Acegiak, Acegiak. But you can also find my work on Apple Arcade. Our game, Game of Thrones, Tale of Crows, just came out on Apple Arcade on Friday. So check that out if you want to try playing a narrative idle game set 8,000 years before the events of the Game of Thrones show. That's me, Jamie.
Hi, so I've been Jamie, they, them pronouns, and you can find me on Twitter. I'm at Temporal Hiccup. I usually use a lot of Sailor Moon GIFs, and I talk about random things about gaming. I'm obsessed with TTRPGs. And so you can also find my games at Temporal Hiccup on itch.io. I've slowed down a little bit because I'm focusing on stuff, but also my big game. I'm working in BALIKBAYAN a lot, but I'm also working on Apocalypse Keys, which is inspired by Hellboy, BPRD, with a lot of feelings. It's like a very queer-centric game where a lot of the moves are about emotional stuff. I feel like we're playing Monster Hearts, except with investigative superpowers a lot of the time. So, but we'll see. So that's Apocalypse Keys, and I'm also working in BALIKBAYAN and a lot of other games that I'm happy to play test with people. And that's it. That's me.
We will definitely be running Apocalypse Keys on
Woohoo.
actual play.
You
Yeah.
said that's PBTA, is that right? Or is that
Yeah, it is.
gonna add it to my list?
Yes,
Don't mind me.
Yeah.
I like literally made a playbook where I was like, I want to be a fallen god or a fallen angel. I'm gonna make a playbook so I could do that. So,
Nice.
yeah.
So cool. I love it when games give you permission to just be like, we're these amazing characters, and it's not going to make our lives like any easier or simplify anything like that, but we can just do rad stuff.
Yeah, that's my favorite genre.
Mechanically, whatever we need to do, whatever dial we need to turn, just be like, yeah, we're definitely very awesome.
It's on the list.
Well, thanks everybody for hanging out with us. And yeah, again, we'll see you all in a couple weeks. And stay on the channel because next Tuesday we'll have Stars number 2. All right.
Awesome.
Bye
Thank you,
now.
everybody. Bye.